Hello everyone and welcome back to Monsters of the Past. As always, I'm your host Mr. G. Last time I talked about an animal that represented a transition between sea creatures becoming land creatures. And today we're talking about the opposite. Today we're talking about an animal that represents the transition between land creatures and sea creatures. Today we're talking about the early whale Ambulocetus. Ambulocetus means walking whale, and is a member of the Ambulocetus family. It was a carnivore that lived during the Eocene in Pakistan. Ambulocetus was decently big, though obviously not as big as its descendants, being about the same size as an American alligator. Ambulocetus is the perfect example of a transitional fossil, with it representing the transition of whales changing from land animals to animals adapted for a fully aquatic lifestyle. I suppose the question a lot of you might have is, why did they return to the ocean anyway? What prompted whales to go back to water after adapting to be land creatures? Well, let's talk about that. After the KPG mass extinction, there were a lot of niches left over that needed to be filled. And as such, mammals and birds started taking over those roles left behind by the extinction of dinosaurs and pterosaurs. But as for the ocean, due to the extinction of the great reptiles like mosasaurs and plesiosaurs, there needed to be something new to take the role of large aquatic animal. And plus, due to all the other niches on land slowly starting to fill up, whales needed to do something. So, in a nutshell, whales returned to the ocean because of opportunity. There were plenty more fish in the sea than there were food on land, and the fact they went in the water gave them plenty more chances to possibly adapt. And that's what happened. Over the years, whales slowly started to lose the ability to go on land at all, and becoming so fully aquatic that they would die if they went on land, not because of a lack of air, but because they would get crushed under their own weight. And eventually, after they fully adapted to life in water, they started getting adaptations to make them really good at that. Their tail grew a fluke on it, much like a fish, except theirs pointed flatly instead of tall. Eventually, their mouth became disconnected from their respiratory system, so they don't drown while eating. And eventually, their noses moved to the top of their head, again for similar reasons. And also, they started developing a system where they could find food by sending out an echo, much like bats. Millions of years later, and that's what we have today. Those intelligent mammals that live in our oceans. Even though nowadays whales are fully adapted for life in the water, they still have several features that indicate their mammal ancestry. For one, they still feed their young using milk, and some whales even have mustaches. I'm not joking, look it up. And also, whales actually still have vestigial feet in their skeletons if you look at an x-ray of them. Again, I'm not joking about this either, look it up. So yeah, whales. They have one of the best documented evolutions, alongside elephants, horses, and humans. Okay, now that our second evolutionary lecture is over, let's look at the card. Yes, oh, I love this. This perfectly captures the feeling of a transitional species. It's ugly, it looks like it's in the middle of change. Yes, I love this. And believe it or not, I can't even find any real errors here. Maybe its mouth is too crocodilian, but I honestly don't know. So, I'm giving this one a 10 out of 10. Unfortunately, about pop culture, the only appearance I could find was in Walking with Beasts, where it appeared in the first episode and was erroneously placed in Germany instead of Pakistan. Well, that's all for this episode of Monsters of the Past. Join us next time when we talk about the long-necked sea creatures. Bye!